we've been pooping on this show, and rightfully so. But
sure,
I gotta give it to him. This last episode, the better of the turds that I have experienced here.
Yes.
It wasn't that bad.
We're talking only 1 to 2 wipes on this one.
But it was really long. I'll give it. It's like a full hour 40 some odd, I think. It's like a full-length movie.
It was like 112 exactly. Not that I was counting my watch the whole time, but
all this to say,
it was long.
Yeah, it was long, but I did like that it was more action-heavy and like more focused on the storyline that I liked, which was the Elrond and fighting and the Celebrimbor and stuff. Yeah, I think it was probably the best episode of this season, if not the series. Again, which isn't saying too much because I do have much more negatives than positives. Mostly logistics and common sense things that I wrote down. But goods, I liked seeing Celebrimbor and Sauron doing all their jazz. I thought him in the little mine prison was fun to watch. But where it pains me was the battle sequences, because I was like, oh, okay, this is cool. But Christopher, I'm no battle strategist, right? I've only played World of Warcraft for many hours or days even. And so I can move the pieces on the chessboard, but a lot of their strategy just didn't make a lot of sense to me, if you know what I mean. If you're watching the show and you understand and you see, do you know what I'm going with here?
Are you talking both sides here? The orcs?
Mainly the elves, because there's a part where Elrond is kind of the commander, and he's like charging. He's going all gung-ho. They're trying to recreate the ride of the Rohirrim, you know that kind of feeling. And he's like about to plow through this line of orcs, and then they uncover this robe, and Galadriel's there. And so Elrond's like, wait, stop. And they stop like 2 feet from the orcs. And then Elrond's like, all right, let's talk some terms, right?
Yeah, let's have a chat here.
They chat, and Elrond's like, I'm not going to give up. We're not going to give up, and we're going to fight yous. And he goes out there, and then he starts running amok in the middle of thousands of orcs. And again, in my extensive knowledge of playing World of Warcraft, no matter how strong your hero character is, Christopher, sheer numbers would dictate that you would lose that hero character. Am I right?
You haven't been a level 106 with the charisma times 40,
I guess not.
He rolled the times 20 or whatever dice.
It just kind of bugged me because he's like alone. Maybe he has like one other elf friend, but he's like in the middle of like hundreds of orcs, and nobody else like is jumping on him. Do you know what I mean? Am I out of bounds with this? Did you notice that at all?
You're in bounds. I thought similar things. Going back to Galadriel, they unveil look who's here. And she's in a cage. She can move around in the cage. It's not like she can't move. And I'm like, just move away so the knife isn't pointing at your neck here, and then if they fight, you'll probably naturally get out of there.
Yeah.
But instead, she's just being dumb. And then he's like, all right, let me say goodbye to her, and let me just pull off this pin right in front of everyone. That's super obvious. And then hand it to her, and somehow no one was suspicious. But yeah, they were just fighting, and yeah, I agree, it didn't really make a ton of sense. They start off the battle, they're just shooting the cannons across the river, just murdering elves left, right, up, down. Northwest, northeast. We're talking elves dead.
Yeah.
And then they're just like, stop. And then they're like, you know what? Let's dam the river. All right, sure. And then, then they can get across and all that. And there's this part where the elves are like, we got to stop this machine that's coming or whatever, because they got something to break the wall. And they focus like 5 seconds on shooting the orcs that are pushing it. And then they just like, whatever. And then the thing gets all the way to the wall, and they get it pushed to the wall. They make it seem like, once we get this thing to the wall, it'll break it down. And even Celebrimbor is like, this is the weakest wall. We got to stop it. And it's like, it goes from day to night, and just like somehow this wall nothing's really happened to it. It's been hours, and they're like, it's stronger than we thought. And yeah, I will say, starts off real good, gets into action. There's a lull in the middle, and then it ends with some action. And I agree, best episode of the season for sure. I was kind of dozing off in the middle here, so maybe you can answer this question for me, Steve. So Celebrimbor, mind control, blah, 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 and he finally gets out. He sees the war, and the elves are they're getting kicked. They're getting mugged. And Sauron, who has been deceiving them, he's like, hey, buddy, you finish those rings, and I'll let them live. And he says that, and then the other elves show up, but then I guess he like agrees to it. Because I'll be honest, I was kind of dozing off at this point.
Let me think. I think.
Let me test if you paid attention here.
Probably not. Oh, he's like, I can end all of this if you finish those rings. And so that's Celebrimbor goes and finishes the rings.
But then Sauron's gone. So like that's why I was like, I guess he's doing it, even though like these other elves showed up. But then I kind of wasn't really paying attention. Next thing I know, he's like sawing off his thumb and like escaping. And I'm like, but you just change your mind here? Or like, did I miss something? I didn't, heaven forbid I'm not rewinding this to figure it out. I was hoping you could just tell me here.
I think I was maybe just more distracted by the fact that Celebrimbor, that was his second option was, let me try to get out of this chain for half a second. Nope, let me chop off my thumb. Like that seemed like the brightest idea to him. He had never heard of Harry Houdini, I guess, to break his thumb, and I don't know.
Get some baby oil, throw it on there, slither it out, something.
Yeah.
Pull a Denethor, nothing, huh?
Yeah.
Now, let me ask you this, Steve. I am in a group chat with the boys, and some other people mentioned this, and I couldn't help but notice it as well. But what do you think about that credit sound or whatever? That nice little song at the end.
As a stylistic choice that I was not only not seeing coming at all, but I was like, what the... Because I didn't know if my wife had started playing some music or something like somewhere else. I was like, what the freak is this music? The most aggressively non-Lord of the Rings music I've ever heard, but I don't know, I thought it was funny.
It was entertaining.
Mm-hmm. Thanks for watching these highlights of our episode of the Stale Popcorn Podcast. If you want to listen to the full episode, check out the links in the description. Please like, share, and subscribe, and if you do that with your favorite YouTuber, I'm sure they would appreciate it too. Thanks, and have a great day.
Popcorn!